Okay, welcome everybody to the Sharing Our Knowledge 2024 conference here in Sitka. I'm Jocelyn Estes. I'm one of the planning committee members. I want to mention Alice is another planning committee member, and Sergey Khan is. And we're all volunteers who help put this on. And if you want to donate money to help, you can do it in memory or honor of somebody. There's a form downstairs to do that with. There's also evaluation forms. And if you fill that out and put your name on it, your name will be entered into a drawing for door prizes. And I have to tell you, we have at least 20 door prizes. So you're practically guaranteed to win one. So, yeah. And that's thanks to the donations of vendors and others. So now we have our grandparents' teachings, and I think that some of you have already witnessed the results of the 50-year program, the Sitka Native Education Program. And what we're going to do today is hear from graduates of each decade of the Sitka Native Education Program. They'll share their experiences, the wisdom they've gained, and the significance of the program in their lives. They'll also discuss the profound impact Sitka Native Education Program has had on their lives. Thank you.
Oh, wow. All right. Gunas Chish, we're so happy to be here. I gathered a few of my friends, and we're not quite each decade we're missing a few. But when we saw the theme of this year's conference and that we all celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Sitka Native Education Program, I quickly got online with Brian and said we need to honor those elders that have impacted our lives and get together and present, which brought the last time all of us were together was in the 90s. We had a reunion, and the elders were there, Dastia, Nellie Lord, Ann Johnson, and we all celebrated the knowledge that they shared with us. We ate together, we had picnics, we performed together, and had we never practiced, but it was just like we were in high school again, or middle school for some of us, or elementary school for some of us. When we all came together and danced, it was very seamless, and no practice, but we did an amazing performance at the AMB Hall in honor of those elders. So we just wanted to share insights I had shared. We were very fortunate, all of us that had the opportunity in those first years, many people refer to us as the original Gudjaheen dancers, but we were just fortunate to be surrounded by caring, loving elders. We would all go to school, and we don't want to go into the history of going to school anywhere, but we made it through the school days only to know that we would go to the AMB Hall and be surrounded by elders that loved us and wanted to share knowledge with us. And Brian and I were reminiscing last night after he flew in last night, and it wasn't just being at the AMB Hall. In the summers, elders, the native fishermen would put us on their boats, and we would go get fish together. We would process fish together. We would berry pick together. We would get seaweed. So it was a combination of the school year activities we did together, the learning the songs, learning to bead, learning our language, and then the summer activities that we all participated in. And I think the thing I took away from being a part of SNEP is it built my career. I've been an educator and a culturally responsive educator since some of us were student teachers at SNEP. So It built my career being able to work with elders and to hold up that knowledge that they shared with me to make sure the next generations have the opportunities that we all were able to participate in. So that's what I wanted to share, and I'm just going to pass the mic.
Cherished Yakoshani, Kaanagoot Yuchadu Asak, Linkachenach, Sluknachadiayachat, Wushkitan Yadi Hatsati, Kagwanda Chkanayachat. Said good morning. It's good to see you all here. My Slinkin name is Kaanagoot. I'm of the Coho clan. I'm a child of Shark clan and grandchild of Wolf clan. I too was an original SNEP student. I was an original Gudgehin dancer. SNEP was divided up into 3 different categories, beginning, intermediate, and advanced. And in 1974, when I started, I was much, much too young to join these folks. So I had to wait. I had to wait until I was in junior high to join the Gudgehin dancers, but it was definitely a special program. We're truly a family. We laughed and we celebrated together. We mourned and we cried together. And I think just like a family, I've never been able to get any money out of any of these folks. My grandfather was Charlie Joseph Sr. My mother was Esther James. She was 8 of 9 children. And so I didn't have much choice. I had to be a part of the group, but, you know, growing up, it was my life. I mean, everything was about SNEP. And, you know, I just have to mention that I think Isabella was probably the business backbone of Sitka Native Education Program. She afforded us the opportunities to have all the engagements. We traveled across the country from Hawaii to Washington, D.C. So we had a lot of experience traveling. And like Nancy said, all the cultural information we learned throughout the program, not only our songs and dances, but our way of living, harvesting. It was truly a special time, and it definitely shaped my life as well. I mean, my background is education and healthcare, and you know, Isabella, she really expected a lot out of us. She wanted us to work hard, and she led by example, and I think that really carried over into my life. And so I've always had a strong work ethic. Geez. Yeah.
I'm Kitchnoff. I was in the original in 1974, even though I was probably one of the youngest ones on the dance group. The program meant a lot to me as a young guy that, you know, came from a broken home, didn't really know where I was going to be staying from night to night. And the program gave me some stability and some structure. Having Charlie in my life was, you know, one of the best things that ever happened to me. He took me aside, he mentored me, talked to me, encouraged me. And, you know, the program did so much for so many of us. You know, Isabel's vision of getting this program started was something that I think doesn't get enough recognition for what she did and the guidance that she did for all of us. We were really fortunate. You know, back in the mid-'70s, when Lillian was really little, we, you know, she got us counselors. She got us tutors to help us in school, you know, and that was something that wasn't really being done in the 70s. And for a young guy like me that was struggling in school and life, those things really got me through school, and I was able to have a pretty good career in my life and go forward. So, you know, the program, you know, meant a lot for me as far as learning our songs and our dance and our traditions, but it also just made me a stronger person, gave me a lot more confidence in myself. But that's, I think that this program was everything for me. I don't know where I'd be without it.
Dasa Chxéi. I'm also original Gudgehin. Nancy and Larry, and soon to be Donna are my elders now. So I want to note that I am younger than them. The Sitka Native Education Program is a powerful program. You know, it's like we didn't realize it when we first started the program. We didn't realize what we were going to get out of this program when we started it. When we walked in I think I was 11 or 12 years old when it started, and seeing all the elders that were there, it was really scary for us, you know, how they were going to treat us, you know, because we were so young. But, you know, it's like, it was amazing. It was amazing on how they treated us. You know, they went forward to work with us, to teach us our culture. You know, it's like, I was a very shy kid. Without this program, the confidence that was instilled in me throughout my school years has come from this program. You know, I began to believe in myself. It's like, even, you know, a lot of times we were forced to get up and speak, you know, it's like, and that's what built our confidence, you know, to walk high with our heads held high on who we are, you know, we're Tlingit, you know, and it's like, and to be taught this and to be able to walk with our heads held high because of what they did for us, because of what this program did for us. It was amazing, you know. It's like, to this day, I carry a lot of what was instilled in me. You know, it's like we were taught, they brought in many different workshops for us as we're going through this program. You know, when we were in our classes, we didn't sit like this. We sat in a circle, you know, because they wanted us to see each other. They wanted us to feel comfortable. They wanted us to be more of a tight group, you know, and because of that, you can't take away what we have right now. You know, they talk about, these are my brothers and sisters now, you know, they will be until we're gone, you know, and we've lost a few, you know, it's like losing our siblings, you know, throughout the years that we have lost some, my sister included, who was an original Ledjaheen. You know, it's like, but this is what was taught to us. We were taught the Tlingit language, dance. We were forced to learn beading, which I absolutely hated. But get this, my mom was the beading instructor, so I had pretty much no choice. We were taught, you know, how to work. You know, we did a lot of fundraisers. We worked together, you know, it's like, we learned faith through Isabel, you know. Anytime Larry did something bad, we had to have a meeting and prayer meetings. So we were praying all the time. We were praying all the time. So those boys got us in trouble all the time. But, you know, it's like, I couldn't do it. You know, I couldn't be here where I am today without what I went through, you know, being part of Sitka Native Education Program. The elders, oh my gosh, you know, it's like they're here. They'll always be here. They'll always be here, you know. It's like I'll be doing something and something will come up and I'll remember something from being in the program, what was said, you know. They had strong voices. Sometimes it made us cry, you know, but it was for us to hear and us to learn. You know, I'm really happy that the program is part of my life and will always be part of my life. I'm glad I'm a Ledjaheen dancer. You know, I have been dancing since I started the program. I've been a drummer since I started the program. So without this and without the teachings, not only the culture, but with the work ethics and just being able to go out into the world when we graduated from Sitka High or wherever we graduated from, we were ready. They had taught us traveling. They had us do our own stuff. You know, they just taught us a lot of stuff, not only the culture, but how to go out into the world and do what we're doing today.
For being late. I guess I needed sleep today. I saw Brian's message pretty late, so I was in the program as an original since it began in 1974 until I graduated in 1984. I'm the daughter of Das Dia and the grandchild of Kaanagoot, where our songs came from. Did you guys talk about the abalone earrings? Okay. There was so many sayings that my grandfather said over the years that a lot of us carried with us. I still feel like I quote it to this day of all the sayings that he taught us. I know that when Nancy was doing her proposal, the abalone earrings came up of remembering what those exact words were. Long ago, the men would shine their abalone earrings to wear at the parties, ku'ichs, back when that was just like in the village homes, and they would shine it as their prized possession. The men would wear these. To my grandfather, he said it was like the grandchildren. He referred to all the children of Sitka Native Education Program as his grandchildren. To him, they were his abalone earrings because he was so proud of them and wore them with such pride. And so I think when you take many of the children that went through the Sitka Native Education Program, because like I did a presentation with Martin Strand in high school. I think it was high school or junior high. I'm trying to remember. It was so long ago. My mom reminded me that we did this presentation on the program, and it was video, pictures, presentation, and we got an A with that project. And it was, you find many of the alumni that went through the program, their words are so identical. And we learned so much from this program that carried us through our entire lives of who we are. And words, like you could separate us, and all the words are so identical of what the program meant to us, what we learned, what it meant to us. Being in the original part of the program, I was like always considered the baby of the bunch, and it brought so much pride to each of us in what we learned through the program, whether, you know, other folks probably have talked about the singing, the drumming, the dancing, the beadwork, everything we went through, the fundraisers. We had to work hard at everything that we did. The traveling taught us so much responsibility in the fundraisers that we did to work in everything that we did, but it taught us so many other elements of the world. And I know that one of the things that Isabel would have us do is she would have us go to Sitka High School and perform in front of our peers, which was petrifying to each of us. Some of the kids had tears going, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. They didn't want to perform in front of their peers for fear of being laughed at. And some of us were. I mean, we had to do it. But I think it taught us pride and identity of who we were. And so. So I don't know who we would be today if we didn't have that program. It just brought us so much pride and identity of who we are. And like Ethel said, some of us, I'm going to be 59 soon, and I started the program when I was 8, and same, I haven't stopped since then. And I think that it's something that pulls you to that culture in every aspect. we just never stop, no matter if our bodies tell us that I hurt and it's hard to do things. And, you know, it just, it's something that we'll always have with us. I don't know what we would have done if the program wasn't there, but I think it made a lot of successful students. And I think I remember Heather saying the first time she saw the SNEP students how much she felt identity and a pull towards that's what I want to be, you know, having that program. And I'm just trying to cover things that maybe I didn't hear what anybody else said, but I'm just very, very thankful that we had this. And we didn't understand what we had back in the day with our elders, but having so many elders at our feet, as adults, we go, man, we had everything back then. And to have all those elders, and thinking about it now, we were so blessed. We were so very blessed. And for them to have wanted to be there to teach us and to mentor us, it's almost like we have a responsibility to carry on everything that they gave us. And so I just thank you very much for being here, sharing with us, listening to us. Should I cover everything? I'm trying to think of if I...
I think when we were growing up, like Lillian said, we just took for granted when we were growing up that we had Grandpa Charlie and everybody, Annie, my grandparents. I grew up with them, and then it just seemed like a continuation of carrying on what my grandparents taught us. And I had been away for 40 years, and I come back to town, and there's no grandpas walking down the street. You know, we used to be able to say Grandma Marks, you know, going to bingo, or, you know, just at least be able to see them and say hi. And they'd share with us little stories all the time. And they're not here anymore. And it's kind of scary that we're, like Larry said, it's kind of scary that we're getting up there, we're becoming the elders. And I don't really feel like it, but we missed so much. Oh, my name is Donna Lang. I'm sorry. What the program did for you. Your original. I think for me, starting the program when I was 11, gosh, we went there every day after school to the A&B Hall. Every day we learned something. We saw Grandpa Charlie, gosh, what was he, in his 70s, 80s, dancing. Like, you know, you look at the little boys today, they try, but boy, Grandpa Charlie would have them in a contest easy, you know, with 50, 60 years on them. It was impressive, and it was just showing how strong he was. And I don't think we realized till we got older how lucky we were to have him in our life every day for years and years. I'm sorry I came in here late, but I'm not really sure. I don't really want to say too much right now. Thanks.
I was just sitting here and, Shxéi Haa Léelk'u Hás My name is Shxéi. My English name is Heather Mills. Heather Mills. Heather Mills.
Pretty new, huh?
My name is Heather Mills. Just as shocked as you guys. I graduated in 1997, and so I was just sitting here, and as I was sitting here and I was looking down, and every one of the former originals all the way down have been my teachers, and their parents and their grandparents. And I think about, I was just hearing Lil talk about that responsibility for having that knowledge. And before I say any more, I just wanted to say Kaanagoot to each one of you, because you have taken that responsibility very serious. And there's a generation, there's a chair missing right here. You know, and that generation that's missing right here also took that work very serious. And I was sitting here and I'm thinking, you know, when I look, I know that there's a generation missing, because growing up, you folks were my teachers. And when we would go into the A&B hall, these would be the people that would be sitting with the grandparents teaching us. And it's an amazing thing to be sitting up here as a graduate of the Sitka Native Education Program, and then I look this way, and here's my nephew, who in my mind it feels like he's 3, but I think he's 32. 33. Our baby's 33. And then even farther down is my daughter. So this is really crazy. It's like gives me a little bit of goosebumps. I'm like, this timeline is a long timeline. And it's so wonderful to be able to see. I was sitting here and I was looking down and I was listening. And there's something magical about the relationship that we have. You can hear the laughter no matter what's happening. You can hear the strength. Every single one of us feels the responsibility to be there for each other, feels the responsibility to hold each other up. This isn't just something that we did after school. This was our life. And it was wonderful to be included in that life. When I was 9 years old, and this was what Lil was talking about, I saw the Qajahin, my stepdad had taken me to the museum, and I saw the Qajahin dancers. And I saw them come out, and I saw Steve Hill and Heather Willis and Chuck and Manda, and Sammy was little, you know, and I saw them come out dancing. And your dad came out wearing the leather tunic with the bow and arrow that these men have also danced in, and this young one too. And I watched them dance, and at 9 years old, I had tears in my eyes, and I was crying. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. And the reason it was the most beautiful thing was because every single one of them were so invested in what they were doing. They were working together, they were having fun, they were doing something that meant so much to them. It was literally their entire being presented to share. And I said, when I grow up, I want to be a Qajahin dancer. And it was my dream and my wish, and it's because of the values that were instilled for some of them when they were 3 years old. And I just think that I can't even sit here without acknowledging this chair from the class of 1991 that should be right here with Donna Khatser. And I'm not sure where Léelk'u Hás is right now, but Larry Garrity's got her back, so. But there's this wonderful presence, you know, and this year we lost Donna Khatser. And when I say we did, but it's all of us. This entire world has lost a presence that was so grand, so wonderful, so loving, and so meaningful. But one thing in that legacy of his lifetime that he has done is he has been a part of our lives, holding us up, even as a young person, holding us up in a way so meaningful. And one of the things that he's done is he has left behind a legacy of having his children also be involved in Sitka Native Education Program. And so I think that when I think about what has Sitka Native Education Program meant to me, it has meant that somebody believed in us enough to leave the most precious things in the world in our care and allow us to hold those things for our children. And to be able to be here to see that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, Cheerish. No, you don't have to say anything. You can say what you like. He said, Auntie, you didn't even tell me. I was unprepared.
Hello, my name is Jan Duane. My English name is Michael Miller. I'm Chuck's oldest son. Or if my brother was here, I usually say that when my older brother's here because we have this thing. But anyways, I was kind of born into the culture, and yeah. It was a pretty great experience growing up.
Look at all these people right here that are here to hold you up and be right with you.
Gonna sheesh. But being born into the culture, I have a pretty unique upbringing. I grew up in the Kayashka Hit, and that's the only clan house still open and running. You know, it was great growing up there with my brothers and sisters and my cousins, and just seeing the way of life through the culture. And it's been really hard. But I'm getting back into culture right now and gonna sheesh.
Wanda Tanya Khut Duasak, Chakna Khutati, Chukaneri Ayakut, Hää Éet Aawlitoo.át. My Tlingit name is Wanda Tun, my English name is Sophie. And pretty much same as Michael, I've grown up in the culture. That's pretty much all I've known, you know. Everybody sitting down here has been my teacher since I was little, to learning how to drum with my Auntie Lil and Ethel, to learning how to say my numbers and colors with Miss Nancy, to going on field trips with Brian and stealing my Hello Kitty hat and eating my Cheetos. You know, the Sitka Native Education Program has been awesome, and you know, I've learned so much from everyone here, and my Uncle Chuck and Dastia have been, you know, in my life forever, and I've learned so much from them, all the songs, growing up with my cousins in Kayashka Hit. Yeah, I'm a student now in SNEP, and yeah, it's been my whole entire life. I've never known anything without it, and I've just learned from everybody in here, and it's been awesome.
I did have one more thing to add, just the logistics of this program itself. I don't know if it could be done again today. My grandfather was amazing. If you're not aware of our culture, everything is very proprietary. So from our designs to our songs to our stories, even to our names, they're owned by each clan. So my grandfather was able to go out and get permission for us to use all the clan songs. And he not only inspired us, but he inspired an entire region. Back in early 80s, Alaska hosted the first Elders Conference, and it was held at Shxéi at that time. and we performed at that event. So the publication that they did was basically a word-for-word translation of the response to our performance. And some of the elders even got up and said they were going to bring this back to their community. Yeah.
The elders too thought that because we performed that, when we performed that, they started speaking Tlingit to us. They thought we all knew how to speak, and we're all like looking, and Grandpa started laughing, and he's like, they don't speak Tlingit. And they're all like, what?
So yeah, my grandfather not only inspired us, but he inspired an entire region. Gonna Cherish.
I was thinking something too. You'll notice there's a few of us that are wearing black pants and white shirts. It was expected. And there's one of our biggest fans, Miss Marcia Strand. She was one of our parents. How many of our parents of Sitka Native Education Program graduates are in here? I know Auntie Frida, Sarah Williams, that had come. We used to do what we called sweetheart dinners. We would have sourdough pancakes. Isabel was very big on sourdough pancakes. Auntie Ethel, her mom, Grandma Alice, she would do beading that you had to go to on Saturdays. Ann Johnson, she would work upstairs with the language, downstairs was for dancing. It was very, very important. Auntie Vida, there was all the folks that came and spent those times. And so Sarah Williams and Auntie Elfrida are also Sitka Native Education mamas. They also were a part of our growing up. So many people were involved in making us strong growing up. We were required to have black pants, white shirts, and I feel really, I should have had my moccasins or black socks on. This is not appropriate, and I apologize that I don't have something on my feet. But knowing when we were learning all of the different songs and all the different series, there were sets of regalias. There were checklists of things that we had to have. And so it was a very routine thing. And so I think about those things. And I was just thinking that we didn't have a conversation about what are we going to wear. But I just sat here and I looked down and I was like, whew, okay. And these two are on the spot, on the fly. They didn't know, so I'm going to give their apologies for them right now.
When we reach 60, we don't have to.
From there we carry on.
This side.
Yep. But yes, it was a family affair. We all had our parents there with us. Our parents participated in making our regalia. It was usually a family event when we made our regalia, because not only were we expected to wear our blacks and whites, we had to have all the regalia that went with every series that we did. And we all had to have them, so when we traveled, no matter what was decided we were going to perform, we were ready to perform. So if we didn't have our parents there, many of us wouldn't have had the regalia that we have now. And because our parents were there with us, we went to SNEP also on Saturdays. We had beading on Saturdays. We had Mr. Brady, Bill Brady came and did form line design with us on Saturdays. So we were very busy children when we were growing up, and we were
practices on Saturday were, it was not uncommon to do things over and over and over and over again.
Dress rehearsals.
Yeah. So it was a very powerful growing up for all of us. And we're happy to be here sharing this with you and hopefully inspiring. We know some of you still work in education. We know some of you are still trying to carry on similar things that we grew up participating in. And we're here to encourage you also and to hold you up, because we know the impact that it has made on our lives and the good human beings we have become because of it. And we're honored to be here sharing this information with all of you. Could somebody in charge remind us what time we're supposed to end?
You have 45 minutes.
Holy. One thing Donna just reminded us, is one thing that being part of the program and being able to travel as much as we did, one thing that they instilled was our grades, you know, and Larry mentioned the tutoring is because we had to have C, I think it was a C above average in order to travel. So before we traveled, we had to take a paper around to all our teachers to make sure our grades were up there. You know, it's unfortunate that some missed out, you know, but that's what they instilled, you know, and it's like, and if you missed out, then yeah, you definitely were in the tutors. So one thing that they did do was make sure that our education was up there, you know. It's like they made sure that we had the grades. They made sure it wasn't just all, you know, just going there and doing that. It was also educating us, you know. It's like and making sure that we did come out with the grades when we graduated from the program. So it was, you know, it's like we did go through a lot as young students, originals, you know, all the way up until about the 90s. You know, we did do a lot. But, you know, it's like I said earlier, well, you just can't take this program away from us. You know, it's instilled in us because of what we went through. I went on to college. I got a degree, you know, in accounting. So it's like a lot of us did, you know, and it's because of what the program did for us. Like I said earlier, not only the culture, but education and what we have today.
Thank you. I graduated in '75 from Sitka High, and so I was jealous of you guys to get to dance. I do have some rhythm, probably not as good, but and I love to belt out a song, you know, and it's okay to do that if you're a clinker dancer. So anyway, I was curious. You all have said about many, many elders. So when you showed up, does that mean there were 5 or there were 10 or, you know, different days, different ones, so like a total of 20? And I understanding better now that the parents of the students were some of those elders as well, not only grandparents.
Yeah. That's one of the things I've always said is we were really fortunate. My grandma was one of the people that volunteered and made my regalia, and we come down, get out of school, we'd come down to the A&B to get ready, and there would be, you know, 6, 8, 10, 12 elders around, and Isabella taught us to get the coffee made and get the tea ready, and so that when the elders showed up, they could have coffee and tea, and we could interact with them during practice. And you know, as some of my elders here have said, we were really fortunate. I mean, growing up, I thought they'd always be there. I'd always thought those elders were there to talk to, you know, whether it was Lizzie Basco or, you know, of course, Charlie and Charlotte Young, who was one of my favorites. And as a young person, you don't realize that these elders are going to be leaving you at some point. And, you know, Charlie always told us, you know, don't wait until you're looking down on me in the grave to ask a question. And it's always stuck in my head because, you know, we keep losing elders, I mean, and losing young people, you know. I mean, you know, a lot of us are still grieving with the loss of Chuck, you know. I mean, he was our brother, you know. He was my little grasshopper, you know, and I'll miss him, you know. I've had days that I go grab my phone to call him to ask him a question, and it's not there. So if you have an elder, you have somebody that has the knowledge and you have a question, don't hesitate to ask, because you'd never know when something's going to happen.
That was the other thing that Grandpa always, I told you he had many, many sayings, and he always used to say, you learn until the day you die. He was, 97 when he passed, and he said, don't ever act like you know everything. We learn till the day you die. And he was very humbled by many sayings. I was trying to think of, like, if we can think of the many elders that were there for us, we should name them.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Who wanted this?
I just wanted to reminisce about Charlie. I remember coming to Sitka for the first time in '78. I was preparing to do my research on Tlingit history, and someone said, oh, you have to go to the A&B Hall. That's where the culture is alive. And I went there, and all the people there were so friendly. And Charlotte, who later adopted me as her brother, Frida's and Ed's mom, and Charlie. And what I remember, he was very special. There were other elders, other male elders, but he was the most modest person. He never bragged, and he had a good sense of humor. He was very funny. When he found out I was originally from Russia, he kept saying, you folks did this. And you built that palisade. And I said, Charlie, I didn't do it. He said, you. But he was very funny. And then we all know what he called Donna, playing on words like Donna, dollar. She can talk about that herself. But he was very, very special. And it's just like you build a memorial to him. And I just reminisce living in Sitka in 79, 80, going down the Indian Hall and seeing ladies there and talking. And it was a very homey, comfortable place. And then the last thing I want to reminisce is when Charlie died and there was ku'ik for him in 87, I remember that a lot of the students from Gachahi and his students performed. And it was such a emotionally important thing that you did, because you showed that Charlie's gone, but his legacy is immortal. It's going to live on. So I want to thank all of you for doing what you did, for keeping the culture alive, and carrying on Charlie's legacy. Gunalchish.
I want to expand on something that was said about the grades. I am sure that everyone graduated from high school. There weren't dropouts. If you wanted to, you probably got the support that you needed, at least emotional support, because I understand that Sitka wasn't always an easy place to grow up in the school district. I know that Nancy's sister, Kitty, who was around my age, she didn't want to teach here. She taught in Juneau. She had gone through the school system here. So you're a role model in a lot of ways. I remember, I have a son who's 43, he's Alaska Native, and I remember when he was in school, there was this thing going around that 98% of the Native guys dropped out. And that it had to be stopped, kind of a thing. And so you guys are role models in so many ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for sharing this. I figure the personal stories is what sticks in our head. Thank you so much. You know, good programs come and go, and it's usually based on funding. So you have a good program for 3 years, everybody talks about how great it was, funding's gone, program's gone. So how has SNEP managed to stay 50 years?
SNEP has survived 50 years because of partnerships. The Sitka Tribes of Alaska and the Sitka school districts are partners in keeping SNEP moving forward. It was when I took the job in the Sitka school district, the superintendent allocated a significant budget for me to run that department, and then we worked with the tribe and combined funds to keep the program sustainable and growing and moving forward. So it takes those partnerships to keep it going and those continuing conversations with the school district. So it takes leadership. It takes the leadership in the school district and the tribe to say we value this. And this is important not only for our children, but for our community to keep cultural knowledge and holding our cultural knowledge up. And I know Sarah wanted to talk.
Okay, can I go to her?
She's had her hand up for an hour. I'm not from here. I came from up north, and I'm Athabascan. I don't really quite understand the Tlingit language, but I know a few words. And but I'm original parent from Gajaheen dancer. I am very proud of them, and my children went through Sitka Native Education Program. That's where I learned how to make regalia. I'm an artist. I'm Athabascan artist. I have a table out here, and I do Athabascan beadwork, the regalia. I do all kinds of things that people ask me to repair and all that. But I just want to say that when my daughter got sick, the Gajaheen dancers did fundraising, and they did lots of prayer for her. And thank you very much. To this day, she's still here. And I was down there every day supporting the group, and we did lots of sewing and regalia. And when my daughter was small, when the program started, she was small, and she was going to class. And one day she came home and said, "Mom, I learned a new word." "What is it?" She said, "Quat." Thank you.
Here, I'll stand up so you can see me. My name's Jarek Hopelang, and I think one thing I want to bring up that all of you need to be thanked for, at least from me, is that I tried to go through the SNEP program and then found that at that time in my life, I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to receive that knowledge, and I'm kind of having that awakening later in life. And Brian brought up a good point that a lot of the things that we carry are proprietary, but each and every one of you I've called on the telephone within the last probably month to get me through projects and things that I'm going through. And one trend that I noticed with SNEP graduates is the lack of cultural gatekeeping and the ability to want to share with people who are trying to navigate that later in life. And I want to say that I appreciate that from all of you. And I would say that to Chuck if he was here as well. But I don't see any level of that with all of you. And I think that that's really important to recognize. I think the fabric of our community is very strong with women. I grew up with really strong women. But I also want to say to you, Larry, I really appreciate you because I didn't grow up with uncles. Yeah. So you and Chuck are my uncles, and thank you. You don't know how much that means to all of us who are trying. So, yeah, thank you.
Wow, so I have a question for the whole panel, but I'm particularly interested in hearing from the original Gajaheen dancers and the original founders, but also the youngest. And so my name is Neshka Kuge, I'm Taja Revels, and my grandmother is Annabelle Revels, and she was deeply inspired by SNEP. She came over here and worked with you all back in the day, and when she started her dance group, Young Shika, which I grew up in, black slacks, white t-shirt, black shoes, moccasins, or barefoot. It was strict. We had multiple practices. If you missed more than 2 practices 3 months leading up to a performance, she would not let you. She'd go sit you in a corner and tell you to watch. You could not get up on that stage. But as I grow older, I hear across all of Southeast, and also when I was doing my work up in Anchorage and the villages surrounding about Kotzebue, about SNEP, about the graduates and how it had inspired leaders in those communities to do things for their people, to do things differently for our people. So what do you envision the next 50 years of SNEP and the impact to be? Goodness, Cherish.
You know, we always wish that the SNEP would be the way it was when we were in the program. You know, it's like we talked about how the classes, we didn't just come down for a half hour. We didn't come down for just one class. We came down right after school and had language and dancing. Our drumming and beating were on different days. You know, it was a whole week long that we said. I envision that if it can get back to that motto, that the program would carry, it'll bring out a lot of the culture for the upcoming. I wish and hope that it would stay with that, you know, and I know that they've had to have changes, but without that, the time that we put into it is like, I wish that it would continue on that way, where the students didn't come in just to do artwork or anything. And it's a lack of instructors here in town too, you know, it's like, if we can have the instructors that were all, you know, but a lot of them are gone and out to school, out of town working, and, you know, it's hard, you know, we all have our day jobs too, you know, so, but if we can go back to where we had the whole week long, you know, where we went into classes, that's I think would keep the program strong and keep the culture going the next 50 years too, because you're going to bring up students as they graduate from there. And a lot of them will come back and teach like we have. We graduated from high school and continued on teaching. You know, we did summer jobs with them and continued on, you know. It's like, and we are in dance groups now, and we're still working with students who are coming in who came from the program, you know. So it's just the time, you know, the time that they put into the program is what's going to make it successful in the next 50 years.
I also think, you know, that the problem is funding. You know, what you brought up is we don't have the funding that we need to get the teachers that we need to get the time that we need. You know, the dancers now, the people going to culture classes are not getting the same amount of time that we had. We were fortunate enough, you know, we were there 5-6 days a week. We were there 2 to 3 hours. We had a lot of instruction, and it was just something that we enjoyed. It wasn't just a place for us to learn, it was a place for us to feel safe. We had family, you know. We tease each other, we have fun. They're my sisters, you know, they like to poke fun at me, and I do to them once in a while. But the thing was that we built a family. You know, Charlie and Isabel built a family down there. I mean, it was all of us, you know. It didn't matter what clan you were from. It didn't matter what family you came from. It didn't matter if your dad was white. You were treated as family. And so we had a family atmosphere, and it made learning much more enjoyable. And to be able to come down any day of the week and get that was, that's what helped me.
Wait a minute. What I envision in the next 50 years is I hope that you still go to many communities and still hear our Sitka Native Education Program. And we are, I'm currently, after all these years, still teaching with our kids in the SNEP program. And it's keeping our kids interested in learning. And you still see the same things in some kids are made to go there, kind of sometimes it's a babysitting thing, but that was in our era too. And I think you have to make them see who they are, the pride. I just kind of I stepped in when Chuck got sick, and it was just a temporary thing for me because I usually do scholarships and other things at the tribe. And so when I stepped in, it brought back a lot to me where I now will be, 5 days a week doing this. And I think what we're lacking is we don't have the elders that we had before. We don't have the many teachers that we had before. So it's like we are trying to sustain continuing what we had. It was really a lot that we went through having all of those people at our feet, but we don't have as many that we used to. But I still hope that 50 years from now, people can still be talking about SNEP and making successful students that graduate from the program. Gonna sheesh. What's that? Yeah.
I guess for me, I envision, again, the partnerships of the school district and the tribe working together. We have an empty old tribal office that gets used for some cultural teachings now, but I envision that being renovated and becoming the new center for classes, and the tribe and the school district working together to provide the funds to do that so that this can continue and have a place for kids to go. When I got my job with the Sitka School District, and I retired out of the Sitka School District, and the Career Center was in limbo. It was supposed to be a training center, and so there wasn't anything there. And they hired a new position in the school district, and the superintendent said, "Nancy, I hate to tell you this, but I need you to move." And I said, "Well, where are you going to move me to?" And he says, "Well, I want you to go down and look at the Career Center and see if you could make an office down there." And I went to the Career Center, and they gave me a key, and I walked in, and I looked around. It's like, wow, this is a beautiful place. So then I got in my car, and I drove back up to the district office, and I walked into the superintendent's door, and I said, "Geez, Steve, I found the Nancy Douglas Cultural Education Center." But since my retirement, things have changed. So Pacific High has taken over a lot of that building. So we need a place, and we did a lot of programming after school for kids there. So we need a place for kids to go. We tried doing things. The Amby Hall for us was a godsend, and it was our home, but it hasn't been maintained, and we really needed we needed to broaden, so things changed, but we need a place where people can go and not only do SNEP, but also grow as a community. The tribe is hosting weaving classes, open weaving sessions. We need a place for not only kids to go, but for adults to go, so that we can go back to intergenerational teaching. Because we all know a little bit of something that we're more than willing to share, but where can we go to do that? There's no place to go.
Gunalchish for the question. Yeah, from my point of view, I used to be the tribal youth manager for a short time, and just from my point of view, the amount of change that they went through, and they were able to adapt to the times. And we no longer had card readers, we no longer had ditto machines, so they definitely modernized. We had computers for the students. So I think 50 years from now, it's all going to depend on their ability to adapt and to be able to teach the students how they learn and how they're able to learn.
In in 50 years, I'm hoping that, in the last 10 years, it's changed a lot, I've noticed, because I've been in SNEP since I could talk, and since I've been in school. I'm hoping that the current students in SNEP and in Gajihin, can take all the learnings that they've had and that they got from their elders and that we've gotten from them and take it and, teach other kids, the next generation, and be able to keep, all this history still here and the language still here and teach them all the songs and, how to dance and how to drum and how to harvest and, yeah.
Cherish. As Hataya Stock, Alice Taff. I've been taking notes on the topic many topics each person talked about, and overwhelmingly, every single person mentioned self-confidence from SNEP. SNEP gave me self-confidence, and it's shown in so many other ways. And the other thing that I think everyone said more than once is elders. 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 Good Cherish.
Shawachan Haa. I want to thank each and every person that participated in SNEP. As an elder, I was always envious because they didn't teach it back when I was young. So I went and learned how to dance Paiute style, and I sing their songs. And I put my foot down in 1998, and I said, I'm going home to learn my songs and dance my dances. And Isabella Brady, 2 weeks before celebration, she said, you're going to make a robe. I said, there's not enough time. Oh, yes, there is. She said, you're going to do it, and I didn't have my clan symbol on the back, but I did have a robe, and I still wear it. I can't tell you enough how much I love you all and appreciate you for your part in preserving our culture. The next 50 years, the younger you start, the better, because I learned first how to sing. I mimicked songs. I had no clue what I was singing about. And as I took classes within 10 years, I knew what I was singing about then. But when children are young, they're sponges. They soak up everything. And so any kind of a program that could provide stipends to elders, because living is tough these days. And people your age and younger are working 2 jobs to keep a roof over their head. So any kind of help that can be provided to the teachers, to the culture bearers, I think would be appreciated. And God bless you, each and every one, for your part in this cultural preservation. You guys rock. And be sure to include technology for the young people, and they'll stay involved. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matthew Spellberg. Skeodisa is the name I have from my older sister Satuk, who's standing right there. And I just wanted to say really quickly, as a real newcomer to Sitka and to Tlingit Ani, I've been here a couple years now, but it's just a drop in the bucket compared to 10,000. That the real special atmosphere, the real beautiful special atmosphere in Sitka is, I truly believe, so much thanks to all of you and the Sitka Native Education Program. Some of you have been my teachers very directly, but all of you, I know, have lent your hands to this incredible feeling in this community, which is one, that the culture is so alive, the culture is so rich, the culture is done carefully and thoughtfully, and yet at the same time done with such generosity and kindness and openness. And I want to point out I'm wearing blacks and whites also, thanks to the important tutelage of my just amazing older brother here, Llhu Da Nyoddi, aka Kitchnal, aka Larry Garrity. But I really hope that Charlie Joseph would be tickled to know that, like, every time the night before a party, a white guy is like furiously ironing his white shirt because he's really afraid that Charlie Joseph is going to think he's a slob. But I just want to say to all of you that I feel in some way that I really know Kaanagoot and Léelk'u Hás, the last Léelk'u Hás, through your hands. And with my students here, in the first week of school, I teach Kaanagoot's autobiography, because we talk about what education means, and I say you need to know the most important educator in this community. I just truly feel that I live in the Sitka that SNEP built, that you all built, and I see that every day as I walk through the streets of this town. And so I want to say to you all, Tachwasak and Cherish.
It was mentioned, I think Brian mentioned that gathering of elders here in Sitka in the spring, May 1980. And I think that I would argue that in many ways it was that performance that you guys did, the SNEP, and Charlie's speech, and then the elders who were there speaking to him and to the children. That's where the idea of celebration came from. Ooh. And they also said that it's time for SEA Alaska to put some of its money, its profits, into cultural preservation. And that was very important. And it's a fascinating moment. I was fortunate to be there. And Dick Downhauer and Nora and I, we recorded all those speeches, and that became the book, Because We Cherish You. And then they included that entire transcript of the speeches, which were fascinating, into their book on oratory. And I think some of the students also, I think you spoke there, I remember, very movingly. So in some ways, celebration and SEA Alaska Heritage Institute, they owe their birth to SNEP. I think that we can make that argument. Wow.
I just wanted to let everybody know, my black and whites are ironed and hanging up for this afternoon. I wore them for performances. I didn't plan on sitting up here. I was coming to watch Brian and Nancy, so I didn't know I was going to be up here, or else I would have worn my black and whites and vest.
I think before it's done too, our grandparents, Charlie and Annie Joseph, they're a big part of our lives. But you know what? Without the backbone of the Sitka Native Education Program, and to this day and for the rest of my life, I will always speak highly of Isabella Brady, Léelk'u Hás. Without her and everything in her vision of this, we would not be here. She got it together, she taught us an awful lot. She was strict with us. But not one of us up here could ever say a bad thing about this lady, You know, if every town had an Isabella Brady back then, the culture would be flourished big time in the state of southeast of Alaska. And so I want to, before we leave, before we're done today, I just want to acknowledge her. You know, we acknowledge our elders all the time, but I just don't want you guys to not think that the person who helped make us to what we are today, along with our elders, is Léelk'u Hás, Isabella Brady. Cherish.
Yeah, we need to give her more credit. I mean, I thought about this one time back in 1974 when we made our first big trip where we hit every village and city in Southeast before we got to Seattle and went to Neah Bay. She did all that without a computer. She called and made reservations, got us housing and transportation, and if we could ever find some of her paperwork that every day was planned out. This is what time you guys are getting up. This is what time we're having breakfast. This is what time you're going to be on this bus. This is what time you're going to be at that van. This is what performance we're going to be at. She had everything lined out every day, and she made sure that no matter what town or city we went to, that we got education, that we learned about where we were, whether it was Neah Bay, Seattle, Ketchikan, Juneau, Washington, D.C. Everywhere we went, we got to go visit museums. We got to go learn about other people's culture, and that was important to all of us. But she was the engine that drove that program forever, and she just never gave up. I don't know if she knows what the word give up was, because she ran into wall after wall after wall, and she just kept going and made this program what it was.
Yeah, no cell phones. And she gave us per diem. So when we would go on traveling, we would get envelopes with our money in there, and you had to figure out, okay, if you're going to dinner, how much and we had to be responsible when we traveled too, or we'd spend our money on something else, like, heck, you didn't eat. Yeah. I mean, so we had to really be responsible. But
beg your sisters for money.
yeah. But we thought we'd end with some songs, so Kaanagoot, we're gonna do some songs. Where do you want the mic? line dance. The one thing that people should know is when we practiced, we learned, like Donna and I, Charlie taught us how to dance Min style. So he wanted to make sure we knew how to teach young boys how to dance. And there's lots of us that he taught. Not only we were responsible to dance like a young lady, but he taught us so that we could make sure we knew how to teach.
Marla and I did too. The song that we just did is the first Dekina song that was taught to us. Where we danced different series. But this was the first song, Old Sitka. That was taught to us, and so we have been doing this song for many, many, many years.
50 years.
But yeah, it's instilled in us, and so that's why when you see us get together, this song will always be done, because it was, like I said, it was the first Dekina song taught to us by them, by the elders.
How did Charlie's angel expression came up?
Oh, geez.
I don't remember. The question was, how did we all become referred to as Charlie's Angels? I don't remember what trip we were on.
Donna thinks it might have been when we were in Barrow.
Well, they called him Eskimo Charlie.
Eskimo Charlie.
There. Yeah.
Oh, no, it was our California trip. Was it
When
the
we went to
California?
Disneyland?
Yeah.
It was a popular TV show.
Yeah, yeah.
We're really old for us to remember.
I don't know.
One more. We're going to do one more song in honor of my mom.